Is that better? Can you hear me now? Cool. How's it going, Paul? Good morning. Good morning, Eric. All right, let's take a look at the charts. So, as suspected from yesterday, this is yesterday's market open candle right here where it just went straight up to new all-time highs. We retraced that whole candle. I kind of thought, I was wondering if that would happen just because it kind of seemed like a fake pump. It wasn't news related. There wasn't like other Mag 7 things that made it pump. It was random. So we pretty much retraced that whole move. And now we've kind of been in a downtrend since then, making lower highs. So it kind of makes me possibly lean towards bearish, but we also bounced at a pretty key level. Looking at the higher time frame, I like to use the visible range volume profile for support and resistance confluence. So this gray shaded area that I have marked off, that's a pretty high volume area, and that's pretty much where we bounced overnight. So we found some good support there. So that could hold as the bottom, or we could be kind of continuing this downtrend that we're in. So I'm going into the market with the open pretty flexible. Just want to wait and see how price reacts to levels. If we're going to continue down today, I could see us possibly coming up to point of control before rejecting. Because again, if you look at the higher time frame volume, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see, but there's a pretty big area of volume right there. So that could possibly be an area for resistance. So that's a scenario if we decide to open up bullish and then continue the downtrend, that's one option. Or if this is going to be a bullish day and we want to go down and grab some liquidity, we could do that too. Potentially come down and maybe grab that previous week point of control, or kind of grab that London low liquidity and bounce from there. So those are kind of the two scenarios that I could see happening. We are sitting right at that London high right now, kind of rejecting it a little bit. So we'll see how the market opens. What are your guys' thoughts? How are you thinking the market's going to open? Or what do you think we're going to get today? We're going to continue kind of this downtrend and we have more downside coming? Or was this overnight low at 270-ish? Was that the low and we're going to continue up? What do you guys think? We got about 6 minutes until the market opens. As far as news today, we don't have anything. Powell spoke about 50 minutes ago. I don't think he's still speaking. Chat, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't see anything from Powell right now. So I think he's done. Good morning, Shez Miguez. So other than that, nothing really. I mean, we have a couple of speakers. Trump has a meeting later with the Philippine president. And then we have a couple of earnings calls. Fed speakers, earnings, and Trump meetings. But no big news. I know, like, when Powell was speaking earlier, no big red announcements popped up on my financial juice. I was kind of wondering if, with all the back and forth about Powell right now, like rumors of him resigning and rumors of Trump firing him, I was thinking it'd be crazy if this whole speech this morning, if Powell resigned, but that didn't happen. Nothing happened this morning when he talked, really. Didn't move the market much. Yeah, I could see that, Alexis. It's a good idea not to fight VWAP. No, I didn't cover the blackout. Yeah, I didn't really see much in terms of red news releases on financial juice when Powell was talking. Didn't seem like he was talking about anything super important. And there weren't any crazy moves in the market either. If I'm recording, make sure the sound is on. You guys can hear me, right? All right. Market opens in 3 minutes. So if you guys just hopped on, these are kind of my two little if-then scenarios. We are above the session VWAP, so we could get some up price action. We also bounced off a pretty key area of support with the London session. So I could see some upside, possibly up to point of control. I feel like that'd be a good target, right around 23,400-ish or a little bit short of that. If we are going to get some downside first before continuing up, then a good spot for that would just be to grab that London liquidity and then continue up. But that would mean we'd have to fight VWAP and kind of go against the trend that we've had for the last 4 hours or so. So I'm kind of thinking that this green scenario is going to be what happens. But we'll see. About to find out in 1 minute. All right, let me remove these lines. And we can go down to the lower time frame, kind of see how this market opens. Let's make some money today, guys. Let's go. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? $2,300 is previous day, point of control, yeah, from the New York session volume profile. It's right at, I have it at like 23,394 to be specific. So I could see us getting a pump up to that, or even at the very least coming and grabbing this Asia high at 366. Markets open. See how this first couple minutes plays out. Coming down to VWAP, but holding it so far. Starting to break below it a little bit. Woo! There we go. Man, that grabbed that London high liquidity and rejected big time. Coming down to Asia low. That happened fast. All right, let's see how it reacts at this London low, if we get a strong buy up from there. That was a wild opening candle, you guys. Holy cow. My goodness. I don't like to trade super fast moves like that just because it gives me anxiety and I don't have time to like calculate position sizing and all that stuff. But dang, if you had quick fingers and you grabbed a short off of that London high, that could have been a good trade for sure. What was that? Like a 68, 69 point candle within the first like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's bouncing off of the London initial balance low. I feel like if we're gonna get a bounce, it's gonna come lower. It didn't really grab that overnight liquidity from London's low. And it could definitely come lower too. So if we get a pullback, maybe back up to VWAP, we could possibly take a short off of that. Definitely don't want to be chasing this short right now though. Good morning, B Frosty. How's it going? All right, we're starting to get a pullback. Again, I'm not thinking longs yet, if longs are going to happen today, just because we never came all the way down to this liquidity down here. I feel like we have more room to the downside, but wouldn't want to chase this. So I'd want to see it come back up to maybe 318, 320-ish before I got into a short. Getting a little bit of a pullback here. Let's see what that would look like if we put our stop loss at the range high and then targeted London low. It's kind of what the idea would be. Not a great risk to reward. I prefer to try to aim for like a 2-to-1 at a minimum. So I don't love that. Coming back down. Let's see how it reacts at this overnight low at 267. Could be a good spot for a quick little bounce. All right, we got our 15-minute opening range high right here. And so far, this is our 15-minute low. Getting a little pullback again. I like how this 15-minute opening range is setting up with some good liquidity grabs on both sides. Because that could be a potential like opening range breakout, fake out. Where like if these lines are where the opening range is set right now, you could get a little fake out to the downside, grab that London liquidity and close back within the range and come back up to the other end of the range. And then same thing on the other side. If it breaks out to the top, it could grab that Asia high liquidity and come back down. I still like the possibility of it coming back up to VWAP and then shorting down to that London low. Stop loss at the range high. The only thing that's holding me back on this is just the risk to reward is like a 1.45. That's not my favorite. Getting a buy up, coming back up to this VWAP here, about halfway through the opening range so far. ES is a bit stronger. It's back at the open. It looks like it might be coming back down to grab that overnight liquidity. I did end up entering, just like I said, it never really came back up to where I had targeted my entry anyway. And then I don't love the risk to reward because I would have put my stop loss back at the top of the range. So I'll let that one go. But it does look like it wants to come down and at least grab this London low. If not lower. That was a pretty heavy open. All right, coming down to that overnight low. If it doesn't get a good bounce at that London low, like grab that liquidity and strong bounce up, we have some pretty strong support here at like 257, 260. It's a pretty big high volume node right there. And if you're a fair value gap person, there is a fair value gap on like the 15 and 30 minute time frame on that opening candle from yesterday's New York Open. So could be coming down there, but that's a possible spot for a bounce too. Or it could just break through that and come down to previous day low, which had a lot of chop in that area. So that gives us a high volume node too for possible support. This is heavy, you guys. Definitely not trying to find a bottom and try to catch anything right now. If I'm going to be longing a bounce, I want to make sure it's a good solid bounce and be patient with it. Still hasn't quite come all the way down to that London low to grab that liquidity. And it doesn't look very bouncy right now. Not getting a strong buy up, that's for sure. Still headed down. All right, chat, who got in a short? There was definitely that opportunity after that. So my thought process here was this first 5 minute candle confirmed that we were going down. There was some downside today. And this second 5 minute candle gave us a nice little retest. And now we're getting the continuation. So there was definitely an opportunity for shorting there. And I kind of talked through it, but I'm okay with passing up on it because like I said, the risk reward wasn't my favorite. But I'm wondering who in the chat got in that short. It was a good one. All right, so we're passing through that overnight low, coming down to previous week's point of control, which, like I said, when I zoomed out on the higher time frame, that's a decent area of support. I feel like if we're gonna stay heavy like this, a better area for support is down here. But we could be getting a bounce from here. I'm not going to be longing anytime soon though. I want to be I don't want to be trying to catch a falling knife. I've made that mistake way too many times, thinking I was super smart and I found the bottom. And then it just keeps going down. There is a decent amount of support here at 257, 260-ish. But no signs of buyers eating this up. Not yet, at least. And normally, a liquidity grab looks like a quick wick out of the bottom. And if you zoom into the 1 minute time frame, that's not happening. It's just going down. We had that 1 minute candle there that bought it up, but that was it. So that was not a London low liquidity grab, that's for sure. All right, we're breaking out of this 15-minute low, 15-minute opening range. It's breaking through that previous week point of control level that I had marked off. So it could be coming down to that bigger level I was talking about down here. 222 to previous day low is sitting at 203. So this is looking more likely. Might be coming down to 200. 224 over here, that's a possible spot for a liquidity grab and bounce. There's some support here. But again, this is heavy. I'm not going to be longing this until we really show signs of support, or if we get a pullback and possibly lower. Yeah, you're right. Chichimas 228 fills the regular trading hours gap, which is kind of in line with that support that we have sitting here. So that pretty much filled the gap right there. Let's see if we start to find some support here. Again, it doesn't look very bouncy. Buyers aren't eating this up yet. So let's see if we get down to this previous day low and if we bounce or if we're getting more downside today. Let's move out to some higher time frames. Yeah, Sasmit, that was a quick, like I said it on the live stream just a couple minutes ago, you would have had to have speedy fingers if you wanted to grab that London high liquidity sweep and then short it. Because that happened within 2 minutes of the market open. It was fast. So we have this area of support here, sitting right at the RTH gap fill, previous day low. That's a decent spot to find a bounce. If not, I got some more levels below marked off. Man, so this is like the opposite of yesterday. Yesterday, if you weren't in a long right at the open, like within the first minute of the New York Open, then it was hard to find a trade after that because there were no pullbacks. And today, it's literally the opposite. If you weren't in a short within 2 minutes of the market open, there has not been a pullback. This is wild, you guys. Did somebody say something? Like, I don't see any news. I don't see any red announcements on Financial Juice. What in the world? Is this just people taking profits before earnings? Oh man, I so want to. I'm having to resist the urge to take a long, you guys. I said it out loud. I'm not going to try to catch a falling knife and long the bottom. But I keep watching all these levels where, like, you would think it, quote unquote, should find support. And it's just not. There is no sign of a bounce right now. Yeah, I could say I should have taken my short. I definitely laid it out. I hope someone else took it. If I did enter, I would have had to do such a small position size though, because the risk to reward wasn't great. So, yep, definitely made me miss it, but that's all right. All right, I'm gonna throw on the session volume profile. I like to watch for previous points of control because that can possibly be an area to find support. So here's one sitting right here at 150, 23, 156. There's a point of control there that actually has not been retested yet. And there's some decent volume right here. But holy cow. There's no signs of a bounce, you guys. This is wild. Seriously, you guys, what is this coming from? Is this just earnings? Is this what happens when there's earnings and people are just taking profits before all that? $23, 156 is the previous week's anchored VWAP. Well, it's not bouncing at 23, 156. All of these high volume like areas that are supposed to be support, there is no bouncing. Wow. Moving fast. So we have previous week's value area low and quite a bit of liquidity down here at 23,000, which is also a big psychological level. Maybe we'll find a big bounce at 23K. That's kind of been like the level. That's been the level to watch for. This is fun, you guys. This is insane. I don't know why, but this makes me think of like when you're sitting inside watching a thunderstorm that's just wild. I live in Texas, Houston, Texas, so we have really wild like thunderstorms, it rains really heavy, it gets really windy. Like we had one last July, about a year ago, where it just like ripped the fan and the TV off of our patio. Our Traeger grill was like flipping down the backyard and landed in the pool. Like crazy windy thunderstorms where you're just sitting by the window, just like, wow, this is insane. All that to say, that's the way I feel right now. Just sitting here like, wow. Oh my goodness. It's no longer a falling knife, it's a machete. Yeah. If you try to long this, you might be committing suicide on your accounts, at least. I hope nobody's trying to take a long. If you do, it better be like in and out, like a 5-second trade. Don't try to catch a bounce like a home run all the way to the top of the range. All right. Zooming out a little bit more. Let's see. This is a decent high volume area right here, kind of getting a little buy up. I don't know though. With how heavy that is, I feel like we might just be getting a little pullback and then possible continuation lower. $23K perhaps. Yeah, I keep going up on time frames just to see anything. Yep, that's why I'm zoomed out to the 30-minute. The next area of like liquidity, possible support wick area is like 23.76. And that's the start of this big high volume area right here. It's kind of why I'm wondering if it's going to go down to 23K. Because that's been a big level recently. Let me pull up Bookmap, see if it gives us any clues to where we're headed. 23,100 has quite a few orders. Whew, this is fun. Sasmit, you said you have a follow-up question about the YouTube comment about taking trades after a winner. What's your question? You guys calling each other names? Calling each other whales? That's not very nice. Now it's gonna go up, Alex? I don't know about that. Hope you're not trying to long the bottom right now. I don't know if we've found the bottom yet. I think we got some more downside for sure. 23,100 at least. just because Bookmap says so. But I don't know. Based on this higher time frame, I could see it coming down to 2340-ish to 23K, somewhere in this region, possibly. Doesn't look like it wants to bounce yet. G-Man, you're back. You missed a wild open. Yep, you're right, Brick. We were talking about this yesterday during Power Hour, that the New York Open yesterday was kind of a fake pump. So we took shorts and got some good money on shorts. And then, yeah, like someone in the chat said, the market closed. The only reason the selling stopped is because the market closed. And now we're back. The last 2 days of the market open have been really good practice for me in exercising my FOMO muscles. Yesterday, I was driving the kids to a day camp, and I was in the car at the market open, so I missed the whole pump. Which, honestly, I probably wouldn't have entered a trade anyway, because it's very similar to today, where there was no pullback, and I usually don't enter on like the first 1 minute candle, so I would have missed that one anyway. So I had to wait, a couple hours until after the open when we actually settled the price action a little bit. And it looks like today might be similar. Missed out on, what is this? Let's measure this bad boy. A 240 point move. Just sitting here watching. And that is okay. Because yesterday I was still able to make about $1,000 in each of my funded accounts. So it was a really good reminder to me, like saying this to myself, because I have to remind myself of this, that there's always another opportunity. So I can sit here for 30 minutes watching all of this happen and be like, okay, it wasn't my trade. On to the next. It's still fun to watch though, because this is crazy. Sasmit, good question. What do you think about the one and done strategy? Meaning if you take one winner, you don't trade anymore for the day. I don't know if you do that or how you feel. That's a really good question, and honestly, it's something I'm trying to get better at. I've taken a one and done trade maybe three or 4 days total in all of my trading, and it felt really good to be done, like making a decent amount of money in 30 minutes, closing my computer and not looking at the screen again. Like that was the best feeling in the world. But when I'm in the moment looking at the screen, to be transparent, like greed sets in sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I made $400. Now what if I do it again and I can make $800? So I have to like make myself step away. But I do like, I mean, that's something I'm trying to get better at. Like I said, that's the whole reason I got into trading anyway, to be able to make really good money. Like I think it's totally possible to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, like solid money, working maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours a day total. So if I can do that and then just leave and go about my day and go work out or go hang out with my kids or whatever, that's the dream. Like that's why I got into trading. So I love the idea of a one and done trade. I just need to get better at removing myself from the computer. Hope that answers your question. One and done or execute every signal? I don't think that we need to execute every signal. Take what the market gives you. If you take one trade and you make $500, $1,000, like whatever is good money for you and you're happy with it, leave. Go about your day. I feel like the more you're in the market, like even if your signal goes off, your trade presents itself, even if you have the perfect setup, there's still a chance to lose. You can't predict the market. Good traders, like some of the best traders in the world, have a 50% win rate, 60% win rate. Like even if you have a 70% win rate, there's still a good chance that you'll lose. So why not take what you have and leave? I don't think you need to execute every time your trade shows up. That's just my thought, though. Or you could possibly do something like, if you want to take the second trade, maybe size down a little bit so that if you do lose the second trade, you don't give back most of your profits. You can play around with whatever works for you. All right, we're starting to get a little bounce here. I'm on the 30-minute time frame. I'll zoom in a little bit. Let's see if we get a pullback and possible continuation lower. So we have this area here at the previous day low where there's a pretty big area of volume. We had all this chop over here. So that could possibly be an area for resistance. Let's see if we get a rejection there. If not, we do have the 15-minute opening range low at 23,259. That would be a 90-point move back up, though, so I don't know about that. Although that's sitting right at VWAP. So I personally am not going to long from here because I don't want to try to catch a bottom. And again, like I said before, the reason I missed the last trade is the risk to reward. I would have to put my stop loss way down here, 72 points. I'm not interested in that. And my target would be up here. That's barely a 1-to-1. No, thank you. Oops. What happened there? 1 second. Don't know why it logged me out. There we go. I didn't see any news come out. Like, I have Financial Juice up, and I didn't see any big red things come across my feed. But Travis just said in the chat that semiconductors are dragging NQ down. So maybe I assume some of the tech companies in NQ, their stocks are down. All right, so I'm interested to see how we react at this previous day low level. All this chop right here, let's see if that provides some resistance. If not, I'll be watching for that 15-minute opening range low. I kind of like that level because it's also sitting right at the session VWAP. And I just realized I haven't marked off the New York anchored VWAP, so I'll do that because that could be a spot for a pullback too. Mark it at this 8:30 candle. Well, that's interesting. The two levels that I'm looking at have confluence with both of the VWAPs. The previous day low was one area of resistance I was looking at. And that's right at the New York anchored VWAP. And then the 15-minute opening range low is at the session VWAP. So I'm not one to enter on limit orders. I'm not going to just like blindly place an order at 204 for a short. So I'm going to see how price reacts at this level. And then if we don't show signs of selling, then we might be coming back up to this 250 level. So we'll see. Those are the two levels that I'm watching for. Yeah, this is a huge initial balance, G-Man. So far, this is the 60-minute low. And then initial balance high is how far away? 245 points. Pretty crazy. Hey, Joey. Are you not on Tradeify TV right now? Are you done already? Or are you hopping into other chats, waiting for a trade? So these are the two levels I'm watching, you guys. Right at previous day low, which has confluence with that New York anchored VWAP. And then we have the 15-minute opening range low with confluence at the session VWAP. So we'll see if price reacts there for a possible short. Ah, cool. Buyers look like they're fighting. Buyers are moving a lot slower than sellers did in that open. All right, so we're coming up to that New York VWAP. Let's see if we get some sellers here or if we're going to come up to this next level. I'm not taking anything until we get confirmation that sellers are going to take us back down. Going to stay patient. I'm on the 2-minute chart, so I'm zoomed in quite a bit. So I'm not gonna like take a short off of one little like zoomed in candle. But it does look like it's selling. All right. I'm taking a short just because the risk to reward is decent on it right now. If it doesn't continue lower from here, then it'll probably come up to the next VWAP. 185.25 is where I entered. Let's see if we get some continuation from here. And my stop loss is right up above that wick high. If it goes down a couple more points, I'm going to be quick to trail my stop. Just because I do feel like there's a chance that it could come back up to the 15-minute opening range high. And I don't want to be stuck in that if that's the case. But so far, we are getting some good selling pressure. One thing that we can do is throw a little anchored VWAP on this low a day. And then we can watch for if it breaks below that anchored VWAP, then that would definitely give us an indication that sellers have regained the momentum. And one thing about anchored VWAPs too is it could be a spot where buyers defend their position and it bounces off of there. So if we do get down to 157, I'll probably go to break even in case we decide to bounce from there. Let's see. Are we going to continue? So again, I'm watching this anchored VWAP because if we are going to continue higher, that'd be a good spot for sellers to defend their, or sorry, buyers to defend their position and bounce up. So I would move to break even if we got towards this area at 157. We had a nice little rejection there, but we're not getting continuation. See, it hit that anchored VWAP and it kind of bounced up a little bit. Buyers don't want it to go down yet. What are you guys waiting on, chat? Did anyone take a long on this bounce? Or are you trying out this short too? Or are you waiting for a higher level before you get in short? Tell me what you guys are thinking. G-Man wants a bigger pullback. You might be right. Yeah, so Chichamis, that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is that the initial balance is almost set. So if this kind of like slow grinds down towards initial balance low, and by the time it gets down there, the initial balance has been set, and then it does a little fake breakout to the downside and bounce, then we get our failed auction set up. I know I'm laying out a bunch of like if-then scenarios, but that's kind of what I'm imagining. All right, I'm moving to break even, at least, so that if it does come back up, I'm not losing out. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is like if it takes the next 5 minutes to kind of slow grind down, and by that point this is the initial balance low, and then when we get a little fake out failed auction, that's what I want. Give it to me. Give it to me. All right, if we get a break and hold below this anchored VWAP, then it'll give me some decent confidence that we will go back down to the initial balance low. If we bounce at this anchored VWAP, then I'll get stopped out at break even. No harm, no foul. And we're probably coming back up here to overnight VWAP. Either way, I'm good. $15, $30, and 60-minute. Yeah, you watch all of those opening ranges. Kadir is waiting, waiting, waiting. Being patient. Love it. All right, sitting at that low a day anchored VWAP again. Are we gonna break through it? Are we continuing lower, or are we gonna bounce? Looks like it wants to go lower. That makes me laugh, Travis. You longed support based, or longed ES based on prior support, but you're loving it less minute by minute. Is it kind of doing what NQ is, where it's like slowly inching down and starting to look weak? What's ES doing? Yeah, I don't know. You can throw an anchored VWAP on the bottom of that too. It's doing very similar to what NQ is. It's kind of holding it, kind of bouncing, but not really convincingly looking like it wants to buy up. You guys, these anchored VWAPs are driving me crazy. Has anyone figured this out? Every time, like I moved away to ES and came back, and my bands came back. Even though I had them turned off originally. So annoying. It's like TradingView did an update and they messed up. Be Frosty, you just gave up. Yeah. It's just become like a part of my motion when I do an anchored VWAP. There's just an extra click that's going to be involved. I have to go up here and change my template every time. Now you don't change between assets too often. Yeah. Well, you guys in the chat keep talking about gold and ES and stuff. You're messing me up. Unclick all the bands. Oh, your comment went away. Save as default. You go to settings, inputs, the bottom left button that says reset settings, and change it to save as default. All right. We are starting to get a little bounce on this anchored VWAP. Might come up and stop me out, which, like I said, I'm okay with. All right. Got stopped out at break even, and we're definitely getting a buy up from here. Okay, so let's see if it breaks through this New York anchored VWAP, and then we could be coming back up to overnight VWAP. I hope this doesn't start like reversing and just be up only from here on out without us. Before we start looking for longs, I was kind of hoping it would come back down to the initial balance low, and then we could take a long off of that. So now I'm kind of looking for, potentially, if it comes back up to VWAP and rejects, we could short from there. Break even on TV, TradingView. No, I had it in my top one futures accounts. I was in a short, but I had moved my stop loss to break even. I'm not sure if that was your question. All right, still sitting at that New York VWAP and previous day low area, which is a little bit of resistance. Moving out to that higher time frame. Have that visible range volume profile on this so you can see the resistance, but you can see it visually over here, all that chop. If we are going to move higher, we have quite a bit to fight through to get up. So let's see if it comes up to 246-ish. That would be the next level I'd be looking at. We are starting to get, this is a pretty strong 5-minute candle right here. Decent volume. Let's see if we can close above this New York anchored VWAP. Let's see if I can do that save as default thing. All right, here's a VWAP. Come up here. Save drawing. Oh, apply. No, if you apply default, that's just going to apply the default that's already set. And then if I go to save drawing template as, that's where I've named some already. So now when I click anchored VWAP, I just come up here and apply one of my templates. But yeah, I don't see a save as default either. Am I missing something? If I go in here, take them off, let's see if I can save as default from here. Template, save as, nope, I don't see a save as default. What am I missing, Travis? What did I do? I am in TradingView. This is TradingView. We're getting some strong buying, you guys. Oh, you're using the indicator, volume weighted average price. I'm using the anchored VWAP that's on TradingView over here on the projections tools. The volume based right there, the anchored VWAP. So that might be why we can't save it as default like you're doing. Hit the save apply defaults and then unclick the bands and exit and it should save. We're gonna get this figured out, you guys. Are you talking about this, Chichimus? So if I use the anchored VWAP on there, click here, go into settings. You said apply defaults. Unclick. And then, I don't know. If I go back to apply defaults, it's all just going to come back on. I don't know. I give up. For now, I'm just going to keep my templates. My trading view is broken. Now I have VWAPs everywhere that I don't want. There we go. All right, so it broke through that New York anchored VWAP. Next level that I'm watching for is this session VWAP, which is right around that 15-minute opening range low level. So, possible spot for a pullback. Let's see, what is that level? Like 243 would be VWAP. Opening range low would be 258. So somewhere between like 245 and 255-ish. Let's see how those levels look on Bookmap. Do we have any confluence with those levels? Yeah, I mean, the heat map looks pretty dark up above until like 240-ish. Starting to slow down a little bit. Yeah, Sasmith, I was saying the same thing. It's yesterday but reversed. Like yesterday, if you weren't in a long off of the first like 2 minutes of the open, then it was hard to find a trade because there were no pullbacks. And very similar to today, didn't really give us much of a pullback. This London high liquidity grab, it happened so fast. Like zooming into the 1 minute, so fast. There's that London high level. This is the first 1 minute candle. It quickly came up. Within seconds, it shot back down. So I saw it happen, but that's not my trade. Like I'm not going to enter on the first 30 seconds of the New York Open, especially when like I don't have time to calculate risk to reward and all that stuff. And that first 1 minute candle was 29 points. That would have just, I would have probably had an anxiety attack live on stream with you guys if I took that trade. I saw it happen though. It was pretty crazy. What's the pattern, Seismic? I'm open. All right, so couple scenarios I'm kind of playing out in my head. Watching for VWAP, because that's typically a powerful level for support and resistance. So we could possibly be watching for sellers to show up there. Another thing I'm paying attention to though is we did regain the previous day low, which is sitting right at New York anchored VWAP. So a lot of times previous day low and previous day high can serve as support and resistance. So if we're going to stay above previous day low, if we're going to hold this level, this could have been the bottom down here. So just kind of ready to be prepared for both scenarios. So I'm saying I want price to do this, or I think it will go down before going up. Yeah, I agree with you. And it could just be the way I'm phrasing it, which I think the power of the subconscious mind is powerful. So I need to watch what I'm saying. I agree with you. What I try to do is give if-then scenarios. So if I'm not like portraying that on stream, then I can do a better job of it. But I try not to get caught up in like, I think it's going to go up, so I'm only taking longs, or I think it's going down, so I'm only taking shorts. I just have levels. So like if it comes here and sellers show up, then I could take a short. Or if it comes here down to initial balance low and buyers defend it, we could take a long. That way I can be flexible with price and react to it rather than trying to predict. But of course, not perfect. But that's the way I try to think in my brain, is give if-then scenarios, and then if it happens, I'll take the trade. That's a good point, to not feel so like married to that one scenario. Like, I think it's going to do this. And then if it doesn't, you can feel super tilted or whatever, because then you have to admit you were wrong. So, yeah, you're right. All right, so I'm zoomed out to the 30-minute. It's breaking back above this high volume node. But that price likes to return to those high volume areas. And it's sitting right at VWAP. On the 5-minute, we're starting to get lots of wicks on the top side. We could find some continuation down. Yep. All right. I'm going to enter short 210.5 is my entry. It did go to the top of my high volume range that I had marked off. Starting to get quite a few wicks on the top side on these 5-minute candles. So ideally, I'd like to target the initial balance low, but I will be watching this low of day anchored VWAP, because so far buyers had defended that. On the 5-minute chart, you can see this big buy up right here where buyers didn't want it to go down yet. So if it bounces here at this low day VWAP, then I'll be careful of that. The level that it's at right now is the biggest obstacle that I think we have. Previous day low, which a lot of times provides support, and we're at the New York anchored VWAP. So if we break and hold below those, I feel good that we got a good entry. If we get a bounce from here, we could be going higher. I'm actually going to put my stop loss at that top wick, because if it continues higher, it could come all the way back up to like 15-minute opening range low or a VWAP, and I don't want to be in the position that whole time because that's like 50 points away. So I would just take a paper cut and get out and find a new entry. So stop loss at 229.5 is where I'm going to put it. Or 229 at that top wick. And then ideally targeting the bottom of the range. But I'm going to watch, like I said, and see how it reacts at this low day VWAP. If we get a strong bounce, I'll get out. We definitely need to get below this previous day low level that we're at right now. All right, Be Frosty. Have a good one. He said if he did live streams, he would have short live streams because he's a one-trick pony. That's funny. All right. So far, it's looking weak at this previous day low. It's not looking like it wants to keep going higher from here. But I definitely want to see a good 5-minute candle close below for me to feel good about it. Don't call yourself a sissy, Chichamus. You're just managing your risk really well. You should be proud of that. You're only entering on your setups. I put my stop loss in, right? Yeah. If I start a channel, it will be Big Sissy Trader. If you're able to sit and be patient and wait for like your perfect setup, watching everyone else make money while you're sitting there like, nope, that wasn't my trade. I think that's a great skill to have. I don't think you should be ashamed of that or like think that that's a weakness of yours. I think that's a good thing. Now, if you're not entering because you're scared, maybe that's something different. But if it's because it doesn't fit your rules or doesn't fit your system that you've decided to trade, that's good. That means you're being patient. At least that name won't be taken. How confident are you in this? What makes you think it's going to go down? Lots of hope and prayer. No, just kidding. So, definitely a downtrend since the market opened. I mean, this was the market open candle right there, and it was just straight down for the last 45 minutes. Or for the first 45 minutes, 30 minutes of the open. So, was kind of looking like a down day. And now I'm thinking that we got a little pullback and we're going to continue lower. We're sitting below the New York, or it's sitting below VWAP. Starting to reject there. We had a decent 5-minute candle rejection from that area. Also, higher time frame confluence. I like to use visible range volume profile. Let me give it a chance to populate there. So this high volume node right here, lots of trading happened there. A lot of times price likes to return to those levels. So I had that gray shaded area marked off, and it returned to that level, and it's starting to show a little bit of weakness. So definitely have some confluences for it to continue lower. But I definitely could be wrong too. And I'm okay with that. which it looks like I am. Stopped me out, which might be annoying because it looks like it might continue lower. Still getting a wick at the top of that candle. All right, so one break-even trade and one stopped out, $150 loss. So right now it's kind of priced, it's pinching between two areas that I'm watching. So like I was kind of laying out before, a lot of times previous day low acts as support. So we've regained that, which is also right where New York anchored VWAP is. We're not wanting to break below that so far, but we're also below the session VWAP. So I think I'd like to see it break out on one of these. Definitely don't want to take a long right at VWAP, but I'm not going to try a short again right now just because buyers are definitely defending this. Your indicators are saying short, but usually that means go long. Are your indicators broken? That's funny. All right, I'm gonna wait. Feels a little bit annoying if I just had my stop loss one tick in the wrong spot. But again, zoomed in on the 1 minute time frame. It's starting to look like that's a decently strong 5-minute candle. We might be getting some continuation up, you guys. If it holds this previous day low and New York anchored VWAP, I'd like to see it break past VWAP first before I'm sold on longs. How sick would that be, you guys, if this comes all the way back to the top of the range? Man. G-Man said it. Smash that like button, people. I'd appreciate it. We got 38, 39 people watching. How many likes do we have? 19 likes. Go hit that like button, you guys. Like and subscribe. So far, I've been doing live streams daily. Sometimes they're in the afternoon if I have something going on with kids. But most of the time at New York Open. So hit that subscribe and you'll get notifications for when I'm going live. You were in a similar trade with SPY, then open this and see the same thing. Great minds think alike, except it was a loss. I took a loss on it. Might have had my stop loss too tight because it does look like it's continuing lower. We'll see how this 5-minute candle closes. Primezer. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I do like to stay on the 5-minute because it helps me not get caught up and emotional with every single candle. It helps me be more patient and wait for confirmation on the setups. Like, for example, on this one, if I zoom into the 1-minute, I could think like, oh, look, strong red candles, we're going straight back down. Because I'm analyzing every single candle. But if I look at the 5-minute, it makes me feel like, well, there's still a chance that it could hold this New York anchored VWAP and this previous day low level. And we're starting to get a small wick on the underside of that candle. So it just, for me, it tells a little bit of a different story, and it helps me stay patient and not enter a trade based on FOMO, because one 1-minute candle is telling a story. So yeah, I like to stay on the 5-minute. If I'm like moving a stop loss or like really trying to fine tune an entry, I might go into the 1-minute. But in general, I've been trying to stay on that 5-minute and zoom out to 15 and 30 as well to see the bigger picture. So for now, what I see, I got stopped out on this short, which there's a potential that it could be continuing lower, and I just had my stop loss a tad bit too tight. Like, it just barely stopped me out. Slightly annoying. But I'm also seeing that it's pinching between these levels. This area of chop over here, it's working through that. There's a battle going on. I think that's why we're stalling and chopping in this area. So if we break back below this zone, we break back below previous day low, which is also New York anchored VWAP, which is also this high volume node. If we get back below 204, I do think we're going lower. But if we hold above, we could get some continuation to the upside. I would want to see it hold above VWAP though before I entered longs. You hate when it pinches between the VWAPs. Yeah, it definitely requires patience. Especially if you're in a trade. Like, it sounds like you put your stop loss a little bit looser, so you're still in the trade. If you're anything like me, it kind of makes you rethink your position. Like, should I get out? Is it going to continue lower? Is it going higher? What is it going to do? Just tell me already. Go somewhere. I can't stand it anymore. That's how I feel when I'm in a trade that's currently pinching between VWAPs. It's hard. Just gonna sit and be patient and let price battle this zone that we have. Buyers are definitely holding this 23,200 level. Moving on up. All right, we got 23 likes. 4 more of you went and hit that like button. But we still got 35 of you in here. So a couple of you haven't done it. What do you guys think, chat? We got this consolidation going on. Are we going to reject a VWAP and get some continuation lower? We going back to initial balance low? Or did we find our bottom already and we're just going to continue this slow grind back up? What do you guys think? G-Man's crossing his fingers, hoping for a rejection. Let's zoom out. What we got going on here? That last 1 hour candle had a pretty strong close. There's no wicks on the top side, but it very clearly closed below VWAP. I don't know, G-Man. I mean, look at that high volume node and previous day low, like all this chop over here. It seems like price might want to hold this level. For now, at least. Zooming into the 5 minute, we're starting to get some wicks on top of these candles. You had paint on your hands. Are you a painter? Or are you just like painting your house, painting a room in your house or something? $15-minute candle is red. I haven't looked at the 15-minute time frame. Well, it's red right now, but we still have almost 4 minutes left on it. It could easily become not red here in a couple minutes. Hopefully back to IB because I'm still short. Yeah. Alex, I like your answer. Alex is just like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's definitely in kind of a no trade zone for me right now. If you guys are not currently in a trade, I would wait to get out of this consolidation. If we break and hold below this VWAP previous day low area and get a strong close below 200, I think we'll come back to initial balance low. Well, I shouldn't say I think. Sasmit called me out on that appropriately. I appreciate the call out. There's a chance that it'll come down lower, continue lower. But for now, we're holding it. I'm definitely watching for a long, you guys. If it holds this level and gets confirmation that we're breaking above VWAP, I'm going to take a long. Mad Moxie, good morning. Hope everyone's doing okay today. So far, so good. Didn't take any trades in the first 30-minute dump because there wasn't a great opportunity for a pullback. There was this 5-minute candle, which I kind of talked through a possible pullback entry. I think the thing that scared me was the risk to reward on it because I would have had to put my stop loss way up at the opening range high. And I guess I was scared. And then took one break-even trade here, took a short, had moved my stop loss to break even, got stopped out. Tried a short again, and just ticked out. I put my stop loss too tight. So just staying patient right now in this chop to see where this goes. Waiting for it to break out of the range. Come on, price. Let's do something. I hope that's not the end of our volatility for the day. I was hoping we'd get a little more movement than that. All right. Coming down to previous day low and VWAP. Are we going to hold it? Or are we going to break down? That's kind of a level, an important level. It's right at it. All right, looks like we're going lower. Okay, I'm re-entering. A little bit annoyed that I put my stop loss too tight on the last trade. But I still feel like the idea is valid. Targeting initial balance low. Just like last time though, I'm going to watch for a reaction at this low a day VWAP. What was my entry? 201 even. I want to see a strong 5-minute candle close. That would make me feel better about it. In the next 2 minutes, if we get a full-bodied close lower, that would be nice. I don't want to see a wick like this because there's other wicks over here. All those wicks. I don't want it to look like that. So far, still defending it. Come on, sellers. Let's get a close below this VWAP. That's what I want. My rule is that I'll try the same idea twice. If I'm wrong on this, then gotta wait for new information. Starting to look a little bit like it was a fake out. I'm not liking that buy up, you guys. Should have waited for a 5-minute close and a hold below so I didn't get faked out. It's still pinching, you guys. It's holding that previous day low level, but not wanting to break higher either. Well, when I say needs in that context, I think it applies. For this trade to work, it needs to break below that previous day low level. Otherwise, it's going to continue higher. Oh my goodness, you guys. It's probably nice that you get to step away and not have to watch this, G-Man. Yeah, I agree, Christopher. It's definitely pinching in between these levels and volume is not really showing up. No volatility. We might not get a big move in either direction anymore. What are we gonna do? Where's it going? Book map has just gone dark. The heat map is non-existent. There's 611 orders sitting up at 235. Definitely have a feeling that's an algo, but it could definitely pull price higher. You guys, I don't normally do this. I'm actually going to reverse my position. I feel more, see more confluence that it's going to hold this level. If I'm wrong, this will be my last trade. $212.5 is my entry. I'll make a note that that one was stopped out or cut out early. So enter long at 212.5. Starting to see more confluence that this is going to go hold higher, hold and move higher. Oops, wrong position. We'll see. Getting a closure above VWAP will be good. Definitely consolidating and pinching here. Probably would have been better to wait for a break on either end of the range. Going long, wait for it to close above VWAP. That definitely would have been the safer bet. Wasn't patient on it. Just, again, seeing more confluence that we're going up. But I'll call it after this trade if I'm wrong. Really just going nowhere. Volume has just dropped off a cliff. What's the ATR at? 25. Well, it's still decent. All right. Where's it gonna go? Wasn't patient on this trade, that's for sure. We have this chop area that it's fighting through. I should have waited for it to break out of either side of it. Going to the higher time frame, you can see it. I even had it marked off before the market opened. And you can tell it's fighting through this zone. So we would need price to recapture it. That would have been a better long, really. Recapture this zone, break and hold above VWAP. Yeah, Sasmin, it looks decent, but definitely wasn't something that I was patient on. Wasn't waiting. I didn't wait for confirmation on anything. Really, the only thing is that it's holding this New York anchored VWAP and previous day low level. So the safer bet would have been to wait for a break and really a close and hold above this 230 level, and then even better confidence would have been a close above the session VWAP. We'll see though. So potential targets, man, honestly, if it continues to, like, if it breaks above VWAP and it holds and reclaims this 15-minute opening range low, we have this giant candle that we could potentially fill that gap. I don't want to hope for that. But dang, there's a lot of room to move back up. We do have quite a bit of resistance here at this level though. That 15-minute opening range low level is also a high volume node from all this chop and trading over here. So that would be a great spot to scale out. Is right around 358, right at that opening range low. All right, about 45 seconds left on this 5-minute candle. Let's see if we get a strong close. There we go. Which session works best for you? You've seen me take some banger trades overnight. I do watch the Asia session because a lot of times if there's a setup, it's super clean. But the only way I'll take a trade is if there's actually volume and it's actually moving. If it's super slow and it's going nowhere, it doesn't work out for me. For one, it tests my patience and it just drives me crazy. But two, more importantly, if volume is really low, I feel like it gets super wicky and it can like move in one direction randomly and just like wick people out and then go in the direction that I thought it was. So that can be frustrating. But yeah, if there's volume, like if it's actually moving, there's good volatility, Asia's good. I find that it respects the New York sessions point of control and session volume profile really well. So a lot of times it'll, like you can take a long to point of control or you can short from point of control or whatever. So I like to watch that. All right, so we had a really strong 5-minute close. I don't like how we're getting that sell off. It's coming back into the range. Coming back into that chop. Let's see how this candle closes. If we just kind of wick down and then we close back up out of it with a strong wick below, that would be nice. If we break back into this range and we close within the range, I don't like that. You're still long from forever ago? That's crazy. On ES? Is that the ES trade you're talking about? Definitely getting some good practice and patience. All right, so we still have 2 minutes left on this 5-minute candle, so I'm not celebrating yet. But I do like that it kind of came back into this range with just a little bit of a wick test, and now we're getting some buying up out of the range. If we close something similar like this, I like that. And then breaking and closing above VWAP would be the next step for me. Let's go. I can only imagine the chop with ES. Because, I mean, NQ is usually a little bit more volatile, and it's pretty choppy since an hour ago. It's done a whole lot of nothing. It's gone nowhere. So if you're sitting in similar chop on ES, that can put you to sleep. It hasn't closed yet, Sasmit. I'd like to see it. It would be nice if it closed outside of the range. I don't want to see it come back down. This 5-minute candle, that green one, that was nice. This 5-minute candle close is decent. There was a decent wick on there, but not as much as I would have hoped for. Just, I don't know. It would have made me feel more comfortable if it closed outside of that range. We're still fighting that VWAP though, so that could be part of what that pullback is. We're going to have to do some work to get above it. Still have some resistance overhead. You changed your candles to volume candles. That's fun. All right, let's throw on this current session's volume profile. That's kind of what I figured. Since this is the chop zone, I figured we were sitting right at point of control. So yeah, breaking and holding above this range would also be holding above point of control. That would be nice. Yesterday, after that huge pump, we consolidated until 12:30. Yeah. It's kind of looking like same thing might happen today. If we hold this level and we continue higher, I wonder where it's headed. We have lots of options. 23,290. If we can hold above that 15-minute opening range low, might see some continuation higher. That's a pretty big area right there. Previous week's value area high. 23,285. I like that as a potential target. If we do show signs that, like if I feel confident, more confident about this long holding, we can use the visible range volume profile as possible areas to get out for our target. We can also look at Bookmap and see if there's any large orders that might give us some ideas. Still fighting with that point of control. I really don't love this. Breaking back into the range, you guys. That's not a good look. Another thing that makes it hard to trade is the VWAPs are just flat. Definitely means it's not great conditions for trading. That just tells you that there's no momentum in either direction. Yeah, I probably will, hasn't it? Got to see how this trade plays out. Wait, this could be a fake out down and then retrace back up. Yeah, it could be. It could also have been a fake out to the upside outside of the range and then coming back into the range and continuation lower. So it could be that too, because we're still holding below VWAP. Now we're sitting at point of control again. Are we going to make a higher high? Get back above that 235? Let's see. Oh, Trump's talking. That's scary. I don't love being in a trade when Trump is talking. All he has to do is say something about tariffs or war, and this is gonna dump. Be careful though, Alex. This 5-minute candle hasn't closed yet. So far, it looks like it was just kind of a little pullback. Still hasn't closed outside the range yet, though. I'm not going to be convinced that this is a winning position until we get a good closure, like above VWAP would make me feel amazing about it. That's some good buying, but again, not a candle closure yet. We've had lots of fake outs. So if this comes back down into the range, then we're just right back where we were. Yeah, I think he's meeting with someone from the Philippines. That's what I saw on Financial Juice. Yeah. Trump greets the Philippine president. I think that's who the meeting is with. Hopefully they're talking about good, friendly things so this goes up. Not a fan of being in a trade when Trump is speaking, so let's just get out of this range, start to get some continuation up, and have you guys have this meeting be about nice things. Maybe they're coming to terms on like a really good trade deal or something. Alex, you might need to throw that indicator away. It doesn't sound very helpful. That's funny. Yep, it happened again. That 5-minute candle looked real nice. And then it just got sucked right back into the range. We haven't had a good solid closure yet. It's still fighting in this gray shaded area that we have. This is our chop that we're dealing with. And it's not just from today. I had this marked off from higher time frame. It was already marked off from all this back here. So that's why we're stuck in this area. And keeps getting pulled back into it. It's like a magnet. Hey, Brick, what's going on? Yeah, Trump is talking. That's not good. Unless he's talking about good things where buyers think that they should be buying. Then he can keep talking. All right. All I'm asking for is just a good, strong close above VWAP. Then I can feel a little more calm. I feel more confident. You're in a long looking for the 280 zone? Hey, that's funny. Look at my trade. 282 is where I have it drawn up right now. It's right around that previous week value area high. Lots of volume up to that zone. Stop at 23,200. Mine's at 23,194. Same trade. So far, I'm not loving it. I mean, it's holding the level that I want it to hold, which is why I got into the long, but we're not getting continuation. I don't love the chop. We keep buying up outside of the chop zone, the range, and then just getting sucked right back into it. Tell me, chat, what are you guys trading? I know there's a couple people trading NQ. Brick is in a long with me. Travis said he's in a long on ES. You guys trading any other assets? Looking at anything else? I don't like that candle. Strong closure below that point of control. Stuck back in the middle of the range again. Sasmin, you feel like eating ice cream? Didn't you eat a Big Mac a couple weeks ago? Last time on the stream, you had a craving for a Big Mac. Now you're craving ice cream. Are you still trying to diet? Are you still on your cut? Or did you give that up yet? It's going pretty well. Well, good for you. Good for you. So I guess your cravings only come when you're on the stream with us, right? You're good all the other times. You just crave Big Macs and ice cream when you're trading. I don't like these last couple candles, you guys. I'm not a fan of this. Coming back to the bottom of this range. Yeah, I don't like this. What are they even talking about? Do you guys know? With the Philippine president and Trump? Surprise, surprise. Trump is making comments about how the interest rate should be 3 points lower. They should be cutting rates now. I feel like he keeps taking jabs at Powell on that. Trump says the rate should be at 1%. My goodness. A couple minutes ago, Trump repeats that the Philippines and Trump are close to a trade deal. I figured that's what the meeting was about. Still just chopping though, you guys. It's coming down below my level. This previous day low, New York anchored VWAP. The fact that it was holding that level is the whole reason that I got in the long. I have my stop loss below that wick, but it's starting to look a little bit weak, holding below the session point of control. Not looking great. Yeah, Powell's days are numbered. Curious about my trading style? I do the 15-minute opening range, breakout or fake out, and then 60-minute initial balance. Same thing, failed auctions or trend continuation. And then I use volume profile. So visible range volume profile for the higher time frame support and resistance levels. And then session volume profile for like point of control and value areas and stuff. So that's what I trade. Breaking below my level, you guys. Not looking good for this trade. Looks like I'm about to get stopped out. I don't know if this is gonna hold, Brick. I just put my stop loss there because that was the wick. But the real level that I wanted it to hold was the previous day low, New York anchored VWAP area. And so far it looks like it's wanting to break below. Yep. Coming down. Stop me out. We're sitting at that low a day anchored VWAP right there. It'll be interesting if we break below that. Man, we could be going to initial balance low. Or buyers could defend it. Man, that was quite a bounce off of that low a day VWAP. Back above previous day low. Interesting buy up. Were we just coming down to grab some liquidity for the ultimate move higher? Man. That's tough though. Like as we were coming down, I kind of saw this level. I was like, oh, maybe it's going to bounce at the low a day VWAP. But I'm not a fan of moving my stop loss. Because then how much do you move it? You could always like make an excuse for like, okay, it could bounce at low a day VWAP. Or it could come down and fill this fair value gap. And then it's going to bounce from there. Then you just get stuck in this like never ending stop loss moving down and end up taking a huge loss. So that's a rule that I have for myself, not to move my stop loss. Maybe move it tighter. I'll move it tighter, but I won't move it bigger and take more risk. All right, you guys. Stopped out on that one. Told you if I take a loss on that, then that would be it for me. It's time to call it quits anyway. I took one break-even trade, 3 losses. That's enough, more than enough. And it's getting to the point where the market's just chopping. I can make an argument for both directions. It's still holding below VWAP. It's stuck in this chop zone, not breaking above. So you can't really argue for a long yet until maybe it breaks above VWAP and closes outside of this chop. And then I wouldn't want to take a short if it's going to keep holding this anchored VWAP. Kind of looks like it's defending that level again, though. Crazy. Brick, don't break your screen. All right, you guys. I'll be back tomorrow. It will probably be in the afternoon session, power hour, around 2:30-ish Eastern time. I'll schedule it on my YouTube channel, so you can get a notification for it. But I got kids stuff going on in the morning, so I won't be trading the open. Thanks for joining me, you guys. If you haven't already, hit that like button on the way out. I'd appreciate it. It definitely helps me out. And then hit the subscribe button too, so that you can see when I'm going live and get notifications. Have a good one, you guys. Take care.